Welcome Bleach fans, and welcome to another video. Today we're ranking the top 10 weapons in Bleach. All of the weapons I could find in 696 chapters, including the anime, were considered. Now the word weapon has two major definitions. The one I'm going to go with is a thing designed or used for inflicting bodily harm or physical damage. So something like Hogyoku, Kaha Negacion, Love Gun, etc. are not being counted. The criteria I'm using for this ranking is 1, it must be a weapon, and 2, it must physically exist independent of a person, specifically without the user conjuring it. So Heilig Bogen, the Diagram, Hoffnung, Fullbring weapons, etc. are not on this list. Those weapons require a shrift or special power to be anything more than a simple object anyway, so they wouldn't have made the ranking either way. Also, some of Mayuri's weapons were excluded on the grounds of their lack of usefulness. Mayuri has created many devices throughout the series, and most are situational or specific type weapons. So his poisons, bombs, his defensive armors, and things like that were not considered. Maybe they'll get their own video. Slight 1000 Year Blood War spoiler ahead. Remember, like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's go. Number 10, Acid Bombs. Yoruichi Shihoin displayed this device in her brief exchange with Almighty Yuha. The linked together sphere-shaped devices is a weapon that works in two parts. The first set of the device explodes on contact with an opponent and covers said opponent in some type of thick paste or liquid. If that paste makes contact with a second set of spheres, it will cause a chemical reaction that will absolutely dissolve whatever it comes into contact with. What gets it so high is that Yoruichi is convinced it could hurt someone like Yuha. Now, would it have actually killed him or done what she said it did? I don't know. But at best, Yoruichi would be going on the assumption that it's capable of hurting someone who just defeated Ichibei. At worst, it would be able to defeat a Stern Ritter level fighter. So it is a fairly dangerous weapon, but it's all the way back at 10 because it's only offensive and you need to hit the opponent twice. It may be useful for someone as skilled as Yoruichi, but to anyone else, it's not so good. Number 9, Senran Bakusatsu Taiho. This is another slightly obscure weapon, but mostly hidden in plain sight. This cannon is used by Mod Soul Ururu, mostly in the Substitute Soul Reaper arc. It is a fairly large weapon compared to that of a regular person's body, and is completely wrapped in a white cloth. When fired, it can produce one large energy ball or a multitude of energy projectiles capable of mincing dozens of hollows. It even has a capture mode, giving it a level of versatility. It's unknown if you can just switch between the modes mid-battle, so for that, its lack of showings and relatively no defense, it's here at 9. The reason it gets over the number 10 spot, despite not being as potent, is due to its accuracy being far better and not reliant on hitting a character twice. Number 8, Ginto. Ginto very early in the Bleach series was the Quincy answer to Soul Reaper's Kido. That was until we found out Quincy can use spells independent of Ginto. However, that doesn't reduce the power or efficacy in the story itself. Ginto are essentially the real-world equivalent to grenades or runes for those deep into fantasy. This is a very practical weapon. Ginto have been shown to be able to be used as primary weapons or supplementary weapons. If you want to trap your opponent, you have grits. If you want to blow a hole through them with lasers, Heizen is for you. If you want to create a super powerful shield that works on offense and defense, then you should carry around Ginto. This is a great way to use spells without expending tons of energy, and oftentimes the small and unseeminess of the devices is a weapon in and of itself. The fact that you already have spirit energy in the device itself allows you to not expend your own. What makes it interesting as well is the invocations for the spells are short, and we know they can be used without invocations, so that's impressive. However, Ginto are limited in how many you can carry, and they are so small that whatever your spells are, they will never be the most powerful version of it, unless you start mixing spells together or just use a lot of Ginto for it. So that's why it's here at 8. Number 7, Witch Kits. Witch Kits are a new addition to the Bleach lore, and they are coming in swinging. These are awkwardly shaped guns that witches use to fire their spells. It can also be blown like a horn to cast spells. It's essentially a focus, similar to the Quincy crosses, a way for magical energy to be contained and used in effective manners. It's a way for witches to cast spells with efficiency. Sadly, we don't know too much about witch kits or what witch kits are like from other groups. I imagine the sabers use swords as opposed to horn guns like the pipers do. The only reason it isn't higher is the lack of what we know about them. Witch kits could have a book full of spells that it can be used for, or it could be just set to fire spells by itself. We don't know, so sadly it can't go higher despite its powerful showings. Number 6, Kido Gun. I know this is called a Kido Gun, but it's more like a shotgun or a grenade launcher. This weapon can fire Kido bullets. These bullets aren't even Kido bullets, they're just massive energy orbs that explode on contact. This weapon can produce Kido strong enough to harm captain level opponents. The gun seemingly works on its own power source and is not an amplifier. Even if it is an amplifier, it's a massive amplification in energy because the only person who used the gun was Ron Tao. Ron Tao had her Soul Reaper powers sealed so much that she's almost undetectable, and she can't even perform Kido or Kaido anymore. She has to use a healing device she created just to heal people, or herself. She even has to sleep 12 hours a day just to conserve her spiritual energy. She is at this point a regular soul in Soul Society, yet her Kido shotgun is just a point-and-click fodder destroyer. Its power and ease of use surpasses that of all the other spots behind it. The Kido launcher and the Witch Kit are similar, so if you wanted to switch their spots, I really wouldn't argue with you. We've reached the halfway point of the video. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe. Share the video. If you like shorter form content, I have a Discord server and TikTok, so go check those out, please. And so with that little bit, let's get back to our list, guys. Number 5, Quincy Bangle. The Quincy Bangle is an extremely interesting piece of equipment. The Quincy Bangle does the opposite of the Sanrai Glove. The Sanrai Glove repels spirit particles, making it difficult to generate Heilig Bogen and Heilig File. Training under those conditions allows a Quincy to master their techniques. The Quincy Bangle, on the other hand, once active, is in a constant state of particle attraction. It was created to give weak Quincy's a fighting chance, and hypothetically could give someone without powers those of a Quincy. Once active and calibrated, it creates a suit and bow for the user to use and collects energy, so the only thing the user actually has to do is aim and fire the arrows. The shots can be overloaded for more destructive power, but that comes with a decrease of accuracy. It also allows the user to use Hirinkaku, and seemingly the suit itself protects the user like Blue. This is because the suit itself is also gathering Reishi. The Quincy Bangle isn't the highest Quincy weapon on the list, but it is the easiest to use. Number 4, Bakkoto. The Bakkoto are the dollar store ripoff Zanpakuto, but that doesn't make them wholly inferior. The Bakkoto are the mass-produced living weapons that enhance the combat abilities of the person using them. Speed, strength, Reiatsu, almost every stat is enhanced once these creatures attach to a user. Bakkoto, however, only have the ability they are made with, but that isn't a complete drawback when these powers themselves can essentially be almost anything. Bakkoto have had abilities ranging from telekinesis, intangibility, and even capable of suppressing or turning off Soul Reaper powers, including Zanpakuto. There are 2 more advantages that get Bakkoto so high. Bakkoto can be any kind of weapon, a sword, a mace, yada yada. They evolve and get stronger when a user feeds other Bakkoto cores to their own Bakkoto, and or combine it with a Zanpakuto, allowing it to essentially consistently stack power without training. But the major drawback that keeps Bakkoto from going higher is its parasitic nature. A user must at all times, while it's active, suppress the Bakkoto. If the Bakkoto ever overtakes the user, while the user is accessing its power, the weapon will devour the soul. The more its power is tapped into, the more willpower and energy is needed to keep it at bay. 3. Doll. Dolls have been mentioned and explained on the channel before. Dolls are protective entities created from the soul of a Bount. Now you may be wondering how dolls made the list and things like Heilig Bogen or Fullbring are not. And simply, they sort of just fit a loophole. Dolls must be created. Once they are made, their physical form is maintained in a container, separate from the person. Fullbringer's ability is to manipulate souls so they can conjure their Fullbring weapons whenever they need, and these forms can change or essentially even be things that wouldn't be considered a weapon. In Orimichibane's case, she doesn't even have one. So the Fullbring was excluded due to its variety, while dolls have strict rules and must exist in a container. Most importantly, dolls are not Fullbring or like Zanpakuto because dolls do not always seek to help the user. They may have their own wants and desires, but are forcibly subjugated by the Bount. This makes them different than Fullbring and Zanpakuto. With that, dolls are powerful beings and are very similar to Bakkoto. Dolls have a single form and a singular ability, and only can change once they evolve due to outside factors. Dolls have shown a wide variety of abilities from possession, elemental control, alchemy, animation, and much more. I've even mentioned before that Ginto was capable of turning his wind-based doll into a lightning-based doll by using air friction. Much like a Zanpakuto, a doll can fuse with its user, creating an extremely powerful new entity. But like the Bakkoto, it has a drawback. If at any point the device that controls the doll is destroyed, the doll will turn on and attempt to kill the user. If a doll is born stronger than the creator, it will attack and commit soul suicide with the user. Dolls make it over Bakkoto because despite Bakkoto being capable of attaching to Zanpakuto, they are in a constant state of trying to overpower the user, while dolls do not. Number 2, Seele Schneider. Seele Schneider makes it this high due to its sheer versatility. On the surface, it's a sword, but once you look deeper, it's really an energy sword that oscillates at a speed that makes it more of a lightsaber chainsaw. But it goes even further than that. Its main objective isn't necessarily to do damage, even though it does that extremely well. Its main objective is to loosen spirit energy bonds, allowing a Quincy to absorb it. This applies to Ryatsu as well, meaning a Quincy using Seele Schneider can depower an attack or person while increasing their own AP. This essentially creates a low-grade Sclavere effect. This worked even on a character who can absorb spirit energy. It didn't even save them from being cut. Seele Schneider is small and lightweight, meaning someone can fight with 2 at a time and carry out at least up to 5 on their person. The more power Seele Schneider absorbs, the more devastating it becomes in 2 different ways. 1, it can be used as a Ginto. Seele Schneider have their own spells that can be used and activated or be used in correspondence with other Ginto. The more energy they absorb, the more powerful the spell, and the Seele Schneider can be used to seal and blow up opponents with Sprenga, or Geldstrength, where it can fire a single Seele Schneider at the intended target. It surrounds the opponent with a high density barrier of Reishi. Any cuts made by Seele Schneider beforehand cause Reishi to flow out of the target's body into the barrier, making it stronger, and then it implodes until the pressure causes it to explode. Or the second advantage, it can be used as an arrow with all of the energy that's been stored inside of it, massively increasing its speed and piercing power. The Seele Schneider is only second to the number 1 pick, and honestly, it should have been used more by the Quincy. Number 1, Zanpakuto, or Asauchi. Is this any surprise? This is the best weapon in Bleach, bar none. The weapon has 3 forms, each exponentially increasing the user's power: Shikai, Bankai, and the fused Bankai or true Bankai state. Zanpakuto alone allowed Soul Reapers to battle with beings who are essentially naturally more powerful than them. A fake Zanpakuto allowed Ichigo to gain a power amp equal to that of the Hogyoku, a wish-granting device in the series. Zanpakuto can be anything from a simple melee weapon to conceptual powers. It has the biggest range in not only power level, but versatility. Not to mention, they can be combined with Kido to create devastating combos, and it gets scarier when you include powerful techniques like Shunko. Soifon combined her Shunko with her Suzume Bachi. That's terrifying. The Zanpakuto's only weakness is also its biggest strength: introspection. To get stronger with the Zanpakuto, you must come to new levels of self-understanding and self-love. For a lot of people, that level of introspection is difficult. However, if you can accomplish this, training is essentially done. You can become very powerful just by understanding yourself and resonating with a soul that was created from you. I shouldn't have to explain all this and why it's so high, but you know the deal. Thank you for watching. Shout out to all of my subscribers and those who watch my videos, even those who don't subscribe. Your views and likes keep me going. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you haven't, or to the channel. Please come check out the Discord. We play games, debate, and just chat within the community. I love all y'all. Have a good day. Bye.